Good morning, and thank you for joining Resilient You with Alicia Pozsony. On our show each week, we have guests come on and feature different topics of resilience. Today, we have a person I'm so excited to have with us. She is really brilliant. I don't know how else to describe it, but Allison Lane is a person who has been through a wonderful career, and I hope she talks about that a little bit with us, as well as where she is today. Allison, welcome to the show.
Thank you. I'm so jazzed to be here.
Great. Well, we have so much to talk about and so little time. Our listeners are anywhere around the world are on Power 98.5 FM. We have broadcasts out of New York, as well as Manchester, United Kingdom. So I know that in my world, we talk a little bit about resilience. And in your world, you help authors and subject matter experts craft their message and get through to bigger opportunities, right? Publishing is just one area, right? Do you want to tell our listeners a little bit about who is Allison Lane?
Well, hi, everybody in the UK and here in the US. I am a strategist for authors and anyone who wants to be. So I help people get published. And because of my background, leading marketing and PR for Fortune 50 companies, getting published isn't what you think it is. It's not just I wrote a book and then you give it to a publisher and boom. There is a process that involves gatekeepers and very much requires a marketing plan and sales forecast. But what's most important to know is that there is a path to publishing for anyone. There is always a way, whether you're writing a memoir in essays or a children's book, or you're an expert on anthills. There's always a way. And if anyone tells you differently or tells you you have to go to a $15,000 retreat to learn about it, that is poo. And you, of course, are welcome to go on a writer's retreat, but this information is available and public. It's just hard to find. So I am on a mission to make information that is not private or secret more accessible. And I also bang a drum for you don't need anyone's permission to write. Not to write your story, not to share your expertise. If you are working a 9 to 5 or a 11 to 7, whatever it is that you're doing, I'm with you. I have been there. I worked for corporations for 25 years. And the whole time I bought into this idea that I needed permission to do the next thing. Because when you have a boss, or if you're working in a hierarchical organization, even if you're a teacher, you report to the principal or the vice principal. I mean, it's just, there's always someone you report to, right? But the truth is, you don't need anyone's permission to write an article or submit your poetry. And no one needs to approve what it is that you have to share at all, ever. Not even your sister. So I'm here. If you needed permission, I'm here to tell you you have permission. Now go ahead and share what you know. Ta-da. Done.
Yeah, and that's so empowering. And I know firsthand because you had a wonderful group for nonfiction authors, and now I think that's changed to
the Facebook group. It's called The Publishing Lane. It is free. There are many published authors who participate, and many emerging authors. Some people who are picking up a pen for the first time and they're wondering, how do I get my life's wisdom into a memoir? Some people are 75, some people are 25. It does not matter. Everyone asks for what they need and shares what they know. There are bestsellers in this group, and there are people just starting out. And what they have in common is a shared purpose to share their message and to help other people who want to do the same.
Yeah, the support was so amazing. And I had entered in a point where I had been through a manuscript with editing and ghostwriting and, re-editing. And
Oh,
when I
heavens.
when I joined, I thought, okay, I know I need changes. I just didn't know what to change. So I had the courage to already, I had already published things online. I had done things, but it was so rewarding to meet with others and have your guidance to understand that everybody has a different journey and a different path. But as you said, there's a place for everyone. So I was just so motivated to continue. And I want to thank you for that. Um, so now, Allison, in something that people can do, they can connect with you at Allison Lane Lit, on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, LinkedIn, Twitter, YouTube. I want to share that up front with everyone so that they can go out there and connect with you. Um, and I love it too. Your website, I love all the little tidbits and information we can get. It's very easy to understand and, good stuff there as well.
Yes,
So
anyone who wants to get information from me or the tips that I share a uh, just troves and troves of things you need to know in order to be published or be interviewed on a podcast or do speaking engagements or how to put your website together. All of these things are part of marketing your message and sharing your message. It does not help if you write a book and no one knows about it. It does not help if everyone knows you, but you're not packaging something for them in the way that they want to partake of your message. So these things go hand in hand. Getting published, promoting your work, rinse, repeat. It just has to happen that way. And so, yes, I'm on all the socials at Allison Lane Lit and my website where you can get a bunch of resources for free, and that's lanelit.com.
wonderful. So now let me jump in. I have a question. So a lot of people, they're feeling overwhelmed, and whether they're just starting out on their process of writing or having a story that they think they might want to publish, or they're closer to the end, maybe they're frustrated because they've gone through and tried to, get an agent or tried to query um, agents to get their writing picked up. How can people manage that overwhelm, in terms of thinking about getting published?
I believe that the overwhelm of trying to get published comes from not knowing what the path is. And overwhelm comes from thinking that you have done the steps and then someone revealing that there are 17 more criteria that you have to meet. And it's diminishing and discouraging, and it's not fair. Overwhelm is a situation. It is not a feeling. Just like chaos is not a feeling, it is a situation. When you have access to information, which is what I'm talking about, you won't feel overwhelmed. You'll know exactly where you are on the path to publishing, that you get to choose. You do not have to follow someone else's path. Everyone I work with, everyone who's in my mastermind, they're all on a different path. And some are writing novels. That's a different path. Some decide to publish with a traditional publisher, but maybe they don't have an agent, or a small publisher or an indie publisher or hybrid. I mean, self-publish. All paths lead to what your goal is, so long as you have access to the almost like the menu along the way, and That way you can decide what's right for you. I think that
Wonderful.
the term overwhelm is really, I just don't like surprises. I gotta say. I mean, I think everyone feels more empowered and confident and clear when they know what's on the menu.
Yeah, so that's true. I love that idea that information and knowledge can help us, knowledge is power. We've heard that statement throughout our lives, I'm sure, and I think it's true, especially in, such a over inundated industry of, books, publishing and authors and writing. It's just, I mean, I've loved books since I was a child. I would go to the
Yeah.
library and, I lived in a city and it was not the best environment that I was in because of some dysfunction in my own life. And books were a path, a way out, a distraction, but also gave me insight into what was possible. So personally, I love that you do what you do to help demystify this for everyone. And again, you have free resources. You have information in, video format, and I just love what you do, Allison. So thank you for that.
Hmm.
Um,
Right. I mean, if you're not following me on YouTube, there are full on workshops and webinars where I give away my resources that you can stop and pause and copy the words that I use to pitch media and make them your own. Everybody loves a template. Everything's faster with a template.
all right, so you heard it here first. So, Allison, I want to talk a minute. You mentioned overwhelm, chaos, and you help others with this wonderful process. Can we go back a little to find out about Allison before you're doing what you're doing today?
Oh,
Everybody has a
sure.
story, and I always ask people to get uncomfortable on my show, so I hope you don't mind. Um,
Well, I don't get uncomfortable because I've processed all my traumas. But I do understand what you mean. um, I I grew up in a single mom situation where my father had abandoned us when I was 4, and my mom and my little sister was 1.5. And I say abandoned. He lived a half an hour away, but he did not visit us, and did not pay any child support ever, not one tiny bit. So we were poor, and in the summer we were barefoot, but we lived on a river. So it, to us, it was everyone was poor, and no one was allowed to have snacks between meals because you know what? If you have snacks, you don't eat the real food. And if you're really hungry, you can have a pickle. That's what my mother said. So that's, you're hungry if you're like, I will take that pickle. Thank you. All right.
oh, I was a weird kid. I love pickles, so that okay.
I do
But
too now.
yeah.
I mean, right. And so throughout that time and living a kind of a free range childhood, um, a lot of traumatic things happen. So I'll just run through them so everybody can get up to speed, and because all of this has a point. So on the adverse childhood experiences scale, which is you can Google it. It's 10 questions, and 1 through 10. I am a 7. So adverse childhood experiences equate to a lack of fulfillment, depression, all kinds of mental illness and hardships in life, and they include anything from they include sexual assault, alcoholism, divorce, death, et cetera, et cetera. Having an incarcerated parent. And so all of the things I just named, I had from the time I was, oh heavens, divorce, then sexual assault and being bullied into having sex for the first time when I was 13. Bullied. Rape when I was 16. When I was 13, no, when I was 11, my father killed his girlfriend and went to jail. And not jail, prison, like the legit lockdown. When I was 17, my boyfriend, who was very sweet, was killed in a drunk driving accident that he and his friend caused. So quite a lot. And during this time, I went from being introverted and always feeling like the only time I was really safe was when I was alone and with a book. Oftentimes, in a corner, or I spent a lot of time in the woods next to our house. I would take, a towel from the bathroom and a stack of books and go read for the afternoon. And I was totally happy doing that. But there's some point in a kid's life where they're told, get your nose out of a book. I mean, you've got to learn to be around people. Like, I don't trust the people I was around. I mean, I couldn't trust the people I was around. The things that I was seeing and experiencing were not what I would wish for anyone. But it did give me a kind of special skill to be able to, I spent a lot of time observing, looking for who is safe, what's their story. And I also was in tune with what people needed to hear or what support they needed. And I think that because of those experiences, first of all, I don't get shocked at anything. So a lot of people who come to me, they say like, I'm about to tell you something. I just want to warn you. Like, you don't have to warn. I mean, it's great that you're warning me, but nothing you can say can shock me at all. And I won't be triggered by this. So no worries. And also, if you're writing about it, I'm not your therapist. I'm judging and trying to help you find a way to tell your story. But when I graduated from college, I moved directly to New York City because I felt I needed the validation of the best big time public relations agencies to say that I was the best, instead of, which is, I'm doing today what I've been doing all along. But I spent 25 years rapidly climbing ladders and outshining my peers and working myself to death because I was looking for someone else's approval and permission. And that is what, if I could go back, I would yank my younger self by the ear and have her have a different lens.
Yes, if we could go back and know what we knew now.
I know.
But that is an amazing way that you have connected the dots for us, and you've enabled us to understand your story and what made you so great. And so what made you realize that, Allison, when you were working for those Fortune 500 companies, excelling in business? Was it that you weren't feeling fulfilled and you knew that you needed to revisit your choices, or how did you?
Oh, you mean why I left big brand marketing?
Yeah.
Oh, well, I I went from working with, I mean, most of my career I've worked with innovators and and for Fortune 50 companies that are work so fast because once a deadline is announced publicly, the it can't be pushed. Nothing then becomes subjective, like, oh well, we'll spend another month doing this. Like, no, this is the deadline. How is it going to be done? Whatever it is, we're going to launch this. We're going to negotiate a deal with this celebrity or this sports property, or we're going to go and meet with Men's Health Magazine and see how we can partner. Whatever it is, like the deadline is coming and it's going to happen. And then I joined a company where there was just so much red tape inside the company, and I spent a lot of time doing what they call internal influencing, which is gag me with a spoon code for go and get everyone on your side or pitch your point of view for weeks before you get to the meeting, which is when you should be discussing your idea. But really, you want to, I'm doing air buddies, socialize people to your concept or your pitch before they walk into the meeting, which is to me a colossal waste of time. And it meant that everything was done in the shadows, and also everything took too long. So meetings for project meetings for a project that could have been done in 6 months, the meetings were 4 months apart. And I thought, God, if we are still working on this stupid website next year, I am going to pull my eyebrows out one by one. I mean, it just was crazy. And anyway, there was a leadership change and it was as if the entire organization said, instead of running to the left as fast as you can, now we're going to run to the right as fast as we can. And I thought, I can't do it. I can't do it. I don't know if everyone has that moment where they feel like the last piece of straw is broken, but it's just was for me the last straw. So I quit. 2 weeks before the pandemic, I was out, and I had been on the side working with people who wanted to get published, helping them hone their marketing hook, their manuscript, submit to media, showing them how it can be done. You can submit your essay or your article to any mainstream news organization for free. There's not a gatekeeper. You don't need an agent for that. People don't realize that. They think like, but how do I figure out who to send to? There's a website. There's a website. It literally will say submissions. You can submit to the Washington Post. At the footer, there's a link that says submissions, how to submit. This is free. So I had already been doing this, and very quickly I had a full docket for I was busy full time.
Wonderful. So as many of us, we might be doing something that we thought we loved or thought whether you went to school for that and you're doing it and, it pays the bills, but it doesn't fulfill and give you that fulfillment. So it's nice to hear that you were able to take that shift, and, you have to be brave to do that. So kudos to you for that as well. I think that our listeners can learn from you because in all that you went through, you were able to take that and turn it into something useful. And now you're able to give back to the world. And so if they could take anything away, listeners, listen to Allison, listen to her when she talks about that freeing moment, when she realized she didn't have to succumb to the boundaries that others had put her in, in the path that she was walking, And she was able to transform that into something that is far greater. Because again, I know you've helped thousands, right? If not hundreds of thousands of people through this journey. And you've done it in such a colorful way. You're such a great storyteller. And, it's, again, I'm blessed to be in your life. But in terms of resilience, so anyone who's a writer, author, aspiring writer or author, please take advantage, because Allison really knows how you can promote your work, how you can consider an actual launch plan. She has programs available. Allison, tell listeners about your programs that you have.
Well, thank you. I want to say to your listeners that even if you have the inkling of something that you've always wanted to write about, someone else out there needs to hear what you have to say. Even if you're writing, maybe especially when you're telling your story. When you're telling your story in a first-person essay that this happened to me, you don't have to turn it around to be, and you should hear the 3 things you should do. You can just share your story and it's helping someone. Or they get access to awareness. Maybe they didn't know that such a thing could happen. Maybe they grew up in the city and they don't know, what it's like to live on a farm in Iowa, and they need to feel that. You can connect someone to your human experience and give them a fuller view of what life is. So do that. Don't wait. Many of my clients are retired and busy as all get out, and they have a sense of urgency because they're over 60 or they're over 70, and they say, I need to get this out. I wish I had written it earlier. And they are writing their first memoir at 70. At 70. So what I would say to anyone is, don't wait. God is knocking for all of us, and you don't know when your time is. And there's something about the great achievers and that we're all familiar with, all the Bill Gates of the world, who did not accept the constructs and the boundaries of, I'm going to launch a company. I'm going to drop out of Harvard. I'm going to do this, because he didn't see that as necessary. And so he just went and did his own thing. Just decide to do your own thing now. If you're 20, if you're 18 and you're thinking, should I go to college or should I start my plumbing company? Just pick one. I'm not voting for either. All I'm saying is you don't have to adhere to what you think is expected. You should follow your own path and make a new one. So the way that people can work with me is, one, definitely go to lanelit.com. I have a 12-month mastermind where you can really dig in and create your own path. And I give you everything that you need to do and meet you where you are. Because some people are thinking, well, I'm an expert in finance and I work in real estate development. Well, that's amazing. But there's something that people say in the South. I used to live in North Carolina, and they say they're not making more land. So that's the point of view of, if you work in real estate and you know how anyone can create a income for themselves or an investment, instead of investing in the stock market, you would say invest in like a rental property, because they're not making more land. And if you know how to do that, start writing that now. You don't have to leave your day job, but I help find that path, and I do a lot for you. I create your roadmap. I help you with your messaging. I give you all the tools you need to become your very best marketer, because what I don't want for anyone is to spend good, nickels and dimes on the biggest mistake I see people make is that they hire someone to do their social, but they don't really have a message. So you're just posting willy nilly. I mean, it's just not helpful.
Mm.
Or their website doesn't have an email service provider. So they're great. You have a website, you have a digital business card, but no one can contact you. And that's not efficient. So they end up spending tens of thousands of dollars over the course of years doing things that I would tell them exactly what to do, when to do it, how to do it, give them the tools. And then if they want to hire some help, fabulous. Half of what I assign to you, your assistant can do. And if you don't have an assistant, I can help you find the right one. But please don't hire your neighbor's daughter. It's just, she's not an assistant. She's just a kid who wants to work with you instead of being a camp counselor. So there are much more efficient ways to put your book proposal together, pitch an agent, find a publisher, or turn your business into a book.
Or turn your book into a business, which is what I found interesting, Allison. One of your, I saw one of the testimonials. Someone had a manuscript that got sold to a top 5 publisher, and they got so much clarity from you through that proposal process. And she now has a book out. But again, I feel like it's, something that people who want to aspire to branching out into their own business, using their skill or their subject matter expertise, they can easily do this using your program. So you have a 12-month mastermind.
And a 3-month speedway, especially if someone if you're an expert in anything, or if you've become an expert through your experience. So if, for instance, I have a client whose 3-year-old daughter had pediatric leukemia. So she had pediatric cancer, and she thankfully survived. But this woman became an expert in how to keep your marriage, your friendships, how to raise a child who spends a year and a half in a hospital, and all the things that you would need to know when you're in crisis like that, when your family and your extended family and your friends are plunged into a crisis that you don't have any warning about. You go on a Tuesday to the doctor, and by Tuesday afternoon, you're in pediatric care. She has an expertise that comes from her experience, and now she is consulting for Stanford Pediatric Cancer Hospital, something that she joined the Buzzworthy Lab, the 3-month program, and we pitched them. 6 weeks later, they asked her to be a consultant and to edit their parent newsletter overnight like this.
Wonderful.
So she's doing the work she feels called to do. And if you feel called to do that type of thing, or you know that people need what you have, get in touch. We'll figure it out.
Yeah, because I know we've touched on people who are older and have a story to tell. We've talked about people who are who've been through something, but I think that's really important, because it doesn't matter, what age or stage in your life that you're unique, and when you bring that authenticity to the surface, it's something that can benefit others and lead you to a richer path in life, right? Because I think we're all here to make the world a better place and find our path, and this is just so wonderful. So whether you choose that 3-month Buzzworthy Lab or the 12-month mastermind, Allison can help you to make the best of what you have to offer. That's just amazing. So again, listeners, Allison Lane Lit, if you haven't yet, go out and connect with her and share with her what you have. Allison, do you have sessions where people can connect with to see which program might be a better fit?
So, yes, on my website, lanelit.com, you can click on, apply and go through there's 7 questions that help me have a discussion with you. And then we hop on a call and figure out what's best for you. And because I am always looking for the fastest way to get you what you want. And if I can't deliver it, I'll refer you to someone who can.
Wonderful. And that was the other thing I need to mention at this point, that if you hire Allison, you're not going to need anyone else, right? So,
no, I mean, that's the thing. As a lifelong marketer and publicist, I can tell you that hiring an editor and then a copy editor and then a social media person and then maybe someone to do your Facebook ads, it's like, instead of getting like a tune-up of your car, you hire someone just to look at the wheels, and then you hire someone else just to check the oil, and you hire someone else just to wipe down the glass. I mean, all of this can happen at the same time with one service. It's exhausting and really expensive if you do it piecemeal.
Yeah. So listeners, we know Allison is available. If you, again, go and look and see what kind of things that she has available on her website, lanelit.com. And there's interviews, there's speaking engagements, things that she's done as well that you can leverage. But take that step and have that conversation with her. Again, it's something that I know I plan to do in the near future. We'll see how things go for me. But yes, Allison, I definitely will keep you in mind. I've read that you are a game changer in people's journeys. You're a genius at distilling ideas and creative flow and people's stories. Again, it's just I think that the service you provide is second to none, based on your experience, your resiliency, at how you've gone through your own journey, which is just amazing and inspiring. I want to touch on that. You're very brave, and thank you for being honest and open with our listeners. I know that you're going to inspire many, many women for sure.
Well, thank you for that. I have to say, women, and listeners of all types, we are all here for a short time, and it's time for you to share what you have to say, what you know, because we're all on the earth for just a little bit, and don't wait. Don't wait and have regret. It's right there for the taking.
Thing you can have your own freeing moment. Yeah, and it's, it might be scary to think about that, to put your story out there, or you think your story is not as relevant as someone else's, but Allison will help you refine that into something that is marketable. So get with her today. She's a genius. She's full of positive energy. She has pizzazz, and she's a great storyteller at that. So
wow.
You're destined to laugh, and it's a pleasant experience. It doesn't feel like business, right? So it's wonderful.
Right. It shouldn't be hard. That's the thing. Your path to publishing should not be hard and filled with obstacles. It should be simple and clear, and it can be that.
So, Allison, what about I'm thinking about your past books that you've read, that you've come across. Is there any kind of inspirational story that you might want to share with others on writers who displayed resilience? And I'm putting you on the spot here. So.
Oh, no, I read probably 4 or 5 books a week. So I have so many favorites. I really appreciate when an author can distill for me something that they experienced it, and whether they they use it as a thread in a novel. Like Renee Denfield is a social worker. She lives in the Pacific Northwest. She writes thrillers. She's a foster mom of 3 kids. I believe she has now adopted those kids. She's an advocate for incarcerated women. She's amazing. She has 4 or 5 bestsellers out, but all of her stories have some element of kids in foster care, of incarceration. I mean, this is a woman who is incredible. I don't know her. She is not a client. She followed me on Twitter. I thought I would die. So her. But if you are thinking, I need some inspiration, the one author I would tell you, the one book I would tell you to get is called 3 Dog Life. It is by Abigail Thomas. She is funny and potent, and she is now 80 years old and just came out with another book of essays and memoir. She is a tremendous writer, and every time I read anything she has to share, I think I would love to sit down and, have a whiskey with her. I don't even drink whiskey, but she seems like she would, because she's just the brevity of her words and how she plunges you into a situation. You feel like you're right there with her. And even though she's writing memoir, that same method can be used in a prescriptive business book. So the inspiration can come from anywhere. But those are 2 names, Renee Denfield and Abigail Thomas.
Wonderful. And that's interesting. I mean, there's so much out there too. It's, in terms of memoir, there's a lot of different topics, a lot of different genres and time periods and historical versus, but again, I know that each reader is unique too. So don't think that your writing style is necessarily not good enough for publishing, or, that's the thing that I know is another important factor for people who've been out there. And the writing process too, it can be very cathartic. It can be very therapeutic for someone and part of the healing of the trauma. Allison, did you write anything on your own life story?
Oh, I have, and I've shared, you can see some of the pieces I've written on my website. And also pieces I've written on how to get published or how to market your work. They're all there, or a selection of them. So there's quite a lot. I have a lot to say.
Wonderful. Well, we're happy to have you, and thank you for sharing with us today on Resilient You with Power 98.5. I appreciate you, and we'll definitely connect soon, Allison. Thank you so much.
Thank you.